Hello YouTube, Menzilla here, and I play a lot of SnapMaps. I mean, a lot. If you look at my playtime, you'll see that it's measured in days. And I didn't get all that just from my video reviews. I replay the maps I enjoy, I play all my own maps after every update just to make sure everything's working, and I spend a lot of my downtime in the review queue. Now here's my dirty little secret. The review queue, it's actually my favorite section of SnapMaps. There's so many unique opportunities there. You could be the very first person to play someone's new map. You could discover mapmakers that aren't even aware of the community at large. You could see people taking chances, expressing their creativity in a way other artistic mediums might not allow them to. You can play maps that aren't even concerned with the community's opinion. You know, they're just maps made by people to have fun. And yeah, you can play a lot of garbage too. Thing is, a lot of times people aren't even aware that they're producing bad maps. So, you know, when they see a downvote, it comes as a legitimate surprise to them. It's one of the reasons I hate the downvote system. But, you know, it's still the only in-game system we have. So, with that in mind, I felt like it'd be a good idea to just come forward and let mapmakers know some of the reasons that I'll mash that downvote button. If your map is getting downvotes and my name is on the leaderboard, here's one of 10 reasons why. This is the top 10 reasons that I will downvote your map. Number 1. Your map is broken. Now, I could be having the time of my life, you know, killing demons, solving key puzzles, exploring interesting mechanics, rip and tear, and all that fun stuff, but the second I manage to set off a chain of events that legitimately prevents me from getting a game over in your map, then hey, you can count on a downvote. Some examples of this include lockdown rooms that players can't get back into after they die, areas that can't be completed because some vital component is lost or stuck somewhere inaccessible, and encounters that can't spawn because you've hit the AI limit in another part of the map. You can prevent all of this by thoroughly testing your map. Die in every room as many times as you can. Try making progress without killing anything and see how far you can get. Have as many friends as possible play through your map just to make sure they don't get stuck anywhere. Be absolutely certain before you mash that publish for review button that every play is guaranteed to hit either a victory, defeat, or draw condition. Number 2, your map is incomplete. Now, it's okay for your published map to be in a beta state. You know, I do this as well. A great way to get feedback is to release an open beta to get help with testing. However, it's not a really good idea to pass off an incomplete map as a beta. The map should at least have a start and a finish. Now, it's okay if you're still working on some minor details, you know, like balance, enemy placement, window dressing, whatever, but leaving out the entire third act, that's just unacceptable. Keep in mind that the people playing your map are taking time that they could be using to play other maps to play yours. Also, if you're publishing a map in the hopes that some random person's just going to come along and finish it for you, no, don't do this. Just don't. I come to the review queue to relax and look for finished maps to play and upvote, not half-assembled projects for just in case I don't have any ideas of my own. Number 3, your map is unreasonably ganky. Ganks are what I call moments in a map where the player is tricked into a dangerous situation. And there's good ganks and bad ganks. Good ganks will keep the player on their toes, reward their observation skills, and keep the action exciting. Bad ganks will penalize a player for daring to step foot in your map. It's one thing to bait an ambush with a power-up. It's a whole other thing if you're setting up a power-up to explode and kill the player. Lost souls? Hey, if I can see them coming, good gank. But spawning a half dozen of them 2 feet behind the player, that is unreasonable. Anytime you set up a trap that removes all the chance of success from the player, that's an unreasonable gank, and those are not fun. And no, players are meant to replay the level is not an excuse. If anything, if that's your philosophy, it's presumptuous. With thousands of SnapMaps to choose from, the likelihood that someone is going to give a second chance to any map is actually pretty low. So it's a good idea to always make your maps first run friendly. Number 4, your map doesn't have enough gameplay. Now let's talk about loading screens for a minute. It takes about 3 minutes for SnapMap mode to load up, and each map takes between 1 minute and 90 seconds to load on their own. There's also a 20 to 30 second loading screen after the map ends, and I'm not even counting all the sort of delays for waiting for title storage to load and all that fun stuff. The point is, nobody's sitting through all of those loading screens, so they can spend another 2 to 3 minutes waiting for your cutscenes to go by, or see how many sound bites you can string together to form sort of a sentence. And if after all that, you're only giving them a spoonful of demons to shoot, that is getting a downvote. This goes double for the puppet show stuff. Now, if the puppet show stuff is like sort of clearly indicated that this is a movie and that sort of thing, I'll actually just straight up avoid those. So usually I won't run into this problem. That said, if I do click on a map that's in the review queue and I'm spending more time watching NPCs have clunky conversations than I am actually shooting demons, then that is going to be a downvote. Please put some challenging and engaging combat in your snap map. And if you're afraid of making things too hard, then hey, just make it infinite lives. But hey, at least give us something to do with that gun we're holding. Number 5, your map shows an open contempt for the player. Now this one's a little harder to explain, and tastes vary, so it isn't something everyone's going to agree with, but here it is. If I'm playing your map, and it feels like the entire purpose of the map is to screw with me, insult me, shame me, or otherwise treat me like the plaything of a godlike 10-year-old, hey, I'm just going to quit the map and downvote it. I got better things to do. Now, I've covered some aspects of this point in my previous thing about Unreasonable Ganks, but this is meant to include maps that treat world text and defeat screens as these opportunities to try out juvenile, underbaked insult comedy garbage. Like I said in the previous point, I'm already sitting through a couple minutes of loading screen to get to the part where I'm playing your map. And you know what? I just don't know you well enough to even care if you're joking or not, so I feel like these maps are a waste of my time. If I wanted to field digital insults from random misanthropes, I'd go say nice things about women in a YouTube comment somewhere. Number 6, poor balance. Your map has it, and you're passing it off as hard. The map starts, you're holding a pistol and nothing else. The first door opens, and 3 Barons of Hell are all spawned up and ready to go. You empty your clip, taking one of them down, but there's still 2 to go, and there's no ammo pickups anywhere. Now, turns out one of those barons is a boss that releases 3 Keikos and a small army of cybermanks at plus 50% health. But you know what? I don't know about that because I've already quit your board and downvoted it. Now, challenge and fun can actually exist separate from one another, which by that I mean you can have boards that are fun without being challenging, and you can have boards that are challenging without being fun. And then you have boards like this. You know, the ammo, weapon, and enemy balance are all just completely out of whack and totally mathematically unreasonable. There's challenging, and then there's just plain impossible. Test your maps with the God mode turned off just to make sure that it's actually possible to beat your board using the ammo and health provided. Number 7. You have made lots of maps, but you have almost no playtime, and it shows. Now, if I play a map and it's not that good, what I like to do is check the player's profile just to see how much experience they have. A player can be forgiven for a lot of wonky design choices if it's their first, second, or even third map. If, however, this is their 10th map, or in one case, 250th map, then all bets are off. Now, this goes double for players with low playtimes. Sometimes I see players with several maps published, and then they have playtimes lower than 1 hour total. What? Suddenly, all their bad design decisions make perfect sense. They don't play SnapMaps, so they don't know any better. And that seems weird to me. I mean, for starters, how can you make fun SnapMaps if you don't actually like playing them? Also, how is it that you expect other people to play your SnapMaps if you yourself don't play other people's SnapMaps? Maps made by mappers with low play times are already fighting an uphill battle for my upvote. Number 8, your map has an abandoned vision. Now this one isn't guaranteed to get a downvote, but it's definitely something that's going to push me towards the vote down option if I'm otherwise indifferent. You see, so many maps seem to start off by setting up a story or a premise, you know, like you are escaping a facility or you are infiltrating a base. And there's all these story elements at the beginning to support that. However, by about mid-map, you stop seeing the intercom messages or any indication that you're still involved in a story. And by the end, you're just staring at a generic victory screen after glory killing a baron in a hell module or something, and you honestly have no idea what any of that had to do with all that chit-chat at the beginning. So, make sure your story elements are present throughout your map, and that they make sense given the modules and the props that you're using. Number 9, you made a joke map that isn't funny. Now, this is another one that isn't, strictly speaking, guaranteed to get downvoted, and again, not everyone's going to agree with me on this, and tastes vary. Still, if the high point of your map is an NPC with a swear word in their name, and maybe some world text pointing out how Keiko demons kind of look like testicles, you know what, expect a downvote. I'm not offended by it, I'm bored with it. You see, the internet has basically ruined the inherent comedic value of swearing, edginess, and quote-unquote going there, especially for those of us like me that have been using the internet since the screaming modem era. In this day and age, you don't come off as hilarious, you come off as someone who's been given limitless creative potential, and the best thing you could think to do with it was add shootable demons to a joke you plagiarized from the graffiti on a middle school locker room bench. And finally, number 10, I will absolutely downvote your map if it is blatant theft. Again, I play a lot of maps, so I'm going to know when you take a Dario Batelli or Void Runner map, make virtually no changes to it, and try to pass it off as your own work. Now, for starters, the original author tag is going to give you away, but secondly, I don't even have a problem with remixing someone's level or borrowing assets or rebalancing an existing map for a different style of play. Heck, even just adding a new feature such as co-op, don't have a problem with it. But if the extent of your quote-unquote collaboration was to just slap your name on it somewhere and maybe add a couple lines of unfunny dialogue, then yeah, I'm just going to vote you down. I already played this map once. I shouldn't have to play it a second time just because you want whatever endorphin rush you get from claiming someone else's brilliance as your own work. And that's my list. Do you have some other reasons why you'll vote down a SnapMap? Do you think a downvote is too harsh a response to anything I've listed? Hey, let me know in the comments, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.